So we started out by saying, well, what are the skills that broadly we value in job descriptions? So we rolled up job descriptions across levels. We looked at ONET data, and overwhelmingly, there are a handful of skills that we do consistently put in those job descriptions: collaboration, ethics and values. Make sense? Dependability, adaptability, this idea of resilience kept coming up. And that really reminded me of many conversations that we're having with our customers, especially those that are asking about hiring for potential. In their next breath, they would say things like, we just need people that are more resilient, more adaptable. Business is changing, business is flexing. So it makes sense that that's one of the set of skills that seem to be universally in job descriptions. So then we said, well, let's pressure test if that is like the right set of skills. So here we are, an organization that has literally tens of thousands of data on candidates based on the assessments they complete. So we understand what skills do they score really well in? Which of the 96 do they not score well in? But we also have their job performance data. So when we do a validation study, we marry up how do people score on the test and how does that correlate against how they perform on the job. So KPIs, sales data, manager ratings, all sorts of intelligence that help us distinguish, this was a really great employee, this is a not so great employee, and this is what their kind of skills profile look like. And so we can marry those two things up. And it turns out when we did that across a large data set, across industries, across job roles, this was what we were trying to answer: is, are there a set of skills that universally are predictive of job success, regardless of job context? And I'm going to share what those 12 are, because 12 did emerge, but I do have to give two important caveats. One is, when we're designing a hiring program for a customer, we're always going to do some work to figure out the specific skills that matter for them, for their company, for their jobs. That is a part of the process that is integral and very important. So just because we're going to share 12 skills that are universally predictive across roles, which is interesting, it might not be the skills that we would hire for when we are creating an assessment for a specific job role at a specific organization. So that's an important caveat. I would also say in this data set, we're looking primarily at early career, so entry level, professional individual contributors, all the way through early career managers. We're not looking at senior executives. So I do want to distinguish between what you might historically think of as a high potential program within your business, where you're looking more at senior leaders. This is more, I think, informative of just like broad-based mobility conversations, because that's really the data set that we were focused on, is more at the IC level really than anything else. So what are the 12? Well, they're listed here, and they're listed in order. So the most predictive was take action, then strives to achieve, down to takes responsibility. I'm going to offer some comments on what we learned here, but first, just setting some context. So there was a bit of a gap between number 3 and number 4, meaning 1, 2, and 3 were the most predictive, and then there was a little bit of a gap between 4 through 12, and then there was kind of a big gap between 12 and 13. So there was some part of us that said, well, should it just be 3? But 12 felt right when we looked at the gap between 12 and 13. And what jumps out at you right away is just measures of achievement. Number 1 and number 2, takes action, strives to achieve. And then just broad measures of conscientiousness, they just bubble up. They just tend to be universally predictive, taking responsibility and using time efficiently and attending to multiple tasks, all kind of measures of conscientiousness, achievement, taking action, striving to achieve. And that really wasn't new. I mean, if there's any IOs in the room, you go back to your grad school days, you'll know that achievement and conscientious have kind of long been known to be just universally predictive measures of success. So that wasn't overly surprising. It was almost more interesting what wasn't in the data set. So here I've taken the 12 skills on the left and basically created a heat map against our model. So if you look at the pyramid on the left, you'll see 12 skills highlighted So you get a better sense for across those broad 8 factors at the top of the pyramid, where do those skills sit? So leading and deciding, 3 of those skills sit in leading and deciding, or analyzing and interpreting, 3 of those skills sit there. But it's kind of interesting if you go to the top at that 8 factor level, there's 2 sets of factors that are grayed out, that aren't, meaning there aren't any of the 12 skills that sit in 2 of those broad factor levels. And wouldn't you know, you almost can't make it up. What are the 2 factors that are not represented? The 2 that we value most in our job descriptions, just going back to this view. So supporting and cooperating and adapting and coping. Those are the only 2 of the 8 factors that don't have one of the 12 skills that are most predictive of job success sitting inside of them. And so I do think there's kind of an interesting reframe. Again, we get so many of our customers saying we just need more adaptable people, more resilience that can withstand change. Well, adapting and coping, again, was not one of those factors that is represented. But I would say if you take skill number 8, learns quickly, you marry it with skill number 10, analyzes information, and you marry it with skill number 6, offers practical solutions. Those 3 to me are really getting at a concept that we might refer to as learning agility. And so I don't think it's like coping. It's not enduring that is the hallmark of success in a rapidly changing business climate. It's, do you have people that can learn and understand the change, and they can find solutions that change the way that they kind of embrace work and bring that change to life. Like, again, that really is at the hallmark of learning agility. That is what allows employees to kind of flexibly adapt to the changing business landscape. So I think that's a helpful reframe as we have these conversations with our internal partners. Let's maybe shy away a little bit from the resilience piece, the coping. Let's focus a little bit more on the learning agility. The other quick thing that I'd share, we often get asked, well, how should we think about functional technical versus soft skills, hard skills versus soft skills? And really, number 7 applies functional expertise. That's a catch-all for functional technical skills. And frankly, so is number 3, establishes credibility. So if you were looking for an easy answer, that's, oh, just go soft skills, or, oh, just go hard skills. Unfortunately, I don't think there is one that really is. Both can be critically important.